Amity. Friendship, peaceful harmony. A mutual understanding and a peaceful relationship, especially between nations. Insert incredibly inappropriate joke about Brexit here. Let's discuss the MLP episode She's All Yak, an obvious reference to the movie She's All That.
I feel just like
Yona from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
you, except for that whole
Yak.
thing.
This episode starts with Twilight Sparkle announcing a dance where anyone of any species can come along. How fitting for Princess Smile and Wave to find another event that is an annual tradition that has never actually happened in the 8 seasons prior, but whatever, and use it to force yet another Friendship is Magic lesson onto the students of the school. The event itself at its core is a pony ball, and some of the other species, especially the young students, are a little apprehensive, none more so than Yona the yak. Sandbar asks Yona if she could go to the dance with him and be his pony pal.
I hereby fully endorse this romantic relationship.
Was that my OVD rum?
Oh, look over there! A distraction!
I personally like how this interspecies relationship isn't the main topic of the episode. In fact, it's treated as more of a footnote. I wonder if this will be developed further. Personally, it would be nice to see same-gender couples before interspecies couples, but whatever, MLP. Yona doesn't want to let Sandbar down, so she seeks advice from Rarity, a character who devotes most of her time to making a good impression and knows how stressful keeping a good reputation and making a good impression can be. It's nice to see Yona seek out the advice instead of, being forced to change, which is usually the go-to plot device in these Pygmalion type stories. Movies like My Fair Lady, She's All That, Pretty Women, blah blah blah.
Big mistake. Big. Huge.
Though the title of the episode is a reference to the Brat Pack film She's All That, the episode itself is more of a love letter to the musical My Fair Lady, more specifically the Audrey Hepburn version. Rarity is a walking Audrey Hepburn reference, but she is channeling Professor Higgins here, played by Rex Harrison in the musical, as she takes it upon herself to transform Yona the yak into someone of a more cultured and high-class member of society that would hopefully impress Sandbar. She first attempts to give Yona speech lessons, using Brussels sprouts instead of marbles.
How kind of you to ask me to tea.
Okay, it's off a granny to hear me or for a wee drama.
What?
Oh, sorry, I slipped into my Doric tongue. Pygmalion is a play named after the Greek mythological figure who sculpted a woman out of clay that was so perfect to him he summoned Aphrodite to make him a woman just like the clay statue. Moved by his show of emotion, Aphrodite brought the statue to life. The play, though, was more about someone either being forced to change to fit into a certain class of society, or changing themselves to please someone else they have feelings for. This episode is not about class, but more about culture division, represented by the various species that attend the school. So far, we haven't seen cliques or social constructs of how the school works like we would in a Brat Pack movie like She's All That, but I do relate to Yona more than the others because she's having a harder time fitting in due to her culture being so different and, for want of a better word, being primitive in comparison to pony culture. The fact Rarity can't remember the name of the dance shows that social events to her are still about fitting in and impressing the crowd. Though Rarity does have good intentions here, she perhaps takes things a few steps too far and enlists help from other ponies like Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie and Applejack. Rarity's motivations are well placed, but to her, standing out makes you fit in, because if you stand out, you're not being ignored. Yona, though, doesn't want to stand out, she simply wants to fit in. The most important part of the ball to Yona is having a pony pal, and that is Sandbar. But to Rarity, the most important thing is the dancing. Fluttershy teaches her a dance using a dance chart and step-by-step instructions that seem simple, but difficult for Yona to process. Rainbow Dash's teaching technique is more about just going with your gut, which causes Yona to be reckless and careless, so that doesn't work either. Something tells me Yona is more of a mosh pit girl than a ballroom dancer. Pinkie Pie tries to teach Yona how to bake, but because baking is second nature to her, she does a demonstration that's so quick, Yona can't really tell what she's doing. And Pinkie Pie naively thinks Yona will also find it second nature to her too, but instead she just makes a mess. Applejack has the best approach as she keeps things easy and simple, allowing Yona to do her own thing, But again, Yona is too heavy-hooved and just makes a mess. Probably too many cooks in the kitchen kind of situation here for Yona. With a few tweaks and patience and a lot of hard work, Yona does learn the ropes, but she also forgets her own culture and personality in the process, which was what Sandbar liked about her in the first place. It may seem ridiculously predictable and obvious what will happen next at the ball, but seeing Yona crumble after the disastrous ball made me really relate to her all the more. Yona mistakes fitting in to being the same as belonging, and so does Rarity, as we've seen in the episode Sweet and Elite way back in season 2. This one hits home for me big time. My culture and nationality is often parodied and made fun of. I do often feel like I stand out like a sore thumb when I'm with my American buddies and my boyfriend's family. I know there are others from other countries at conventions, and obviously America is a multicultural country, but Scotland has such an old and eccentric culture, not to mention my accent makes me stand out even more, to the point I have strangers in restaurants approach me. I find it very difficult to fit in when it comes to social gatherings, like a dance or a convention. But I also feel like I stand out when I'm at home, because I am so nerdy and I get excited about things that very few people I know seem to really care about. Or the conversations are always about things I can't relate to, because I'm not a parent yet. It's a difficult balancing act for me to know what is appropriate for certain events and situations, but also knowing what makes me comfortable, so I don't come off as false or inauthentic. So yeah, this episode got to me. Yeah, Yona annoyed me from the start in this show. Though My Fair Lady was more about class division than culture division, and yeah, it's another modern retelling of the Pygmalion story, like My Fair Lady and She's All That and Pretty Women. But this episode is much more about culture, and perhaps a little also about species division as well. The whole episode was adorable and simple, regardless of how complicated the themes are that it's dealing with. It's episodes like this where MLP really shines. I hope more episodes in Season 9 focus on each of the students individually, instead of as a whole group. Perhaps an episode devoted to Silverstream and her love of art? Please?
It's impressionism!
I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative.